Good day, and thank you for having me here today. It is predicted by the year 2023, New Jersey would need an additional 3,000 megawatts of power to operate. PSEG currently owns and operates the Hope Creek Generating Station in Salem, New Jersey. Their early site permit, or ESP, was submitted in order to assess the impacts of building a new nuclear plant on their existing land. Upon reading the environmental impact statement, a number of environmental public health points stood out, both positive and negative. However, for each of these environmental and consequently public health concerns that were brought to my attention, there were amenable solutions to each. So, to begin with, a new nuclear factory has potential to add noise pollution. Not only will there be noise pollution from the construction, but also with the continuous running of the plant itself. The daytime noise allowance of the area is 65 decibels, and the nighttime allowance is only 50. The EIS calculated that the noise produced by the plant at the site of the nearest residences would only be 41 decibels. This is less than the nighttime limit. Therefore, there is minimal impact of noise pollution and is not a significant cause for concern for public health. Next is the concern over thermal discharges from the nuclear reactor in the Delaware River. These thermal discharges create an ideal environment for pathogenic microorganisms to flourish. Examples of these microorganisms include Naegleria fowleri, which causes death of the infected individual in about 5 days, and Legionella pneumophila, which causes pneumonia and can be potentially fatal for the elderly, young, or immunocompromised. However, as dangerous as these organisms are, there is actually no potential for spread to the local population. The thermal discharges only produce a local effect. Because of the climate in the northeast and enormity of the Delaware River, any microorganism spread beyond the site of the reactor would no longer be in ideal living conditions and would die. Additionally, the reactor is on private property where the public would not be able to come in contact with it. The next cause for concern is the potential for radiation exposure with the new nuclear plant. The EIS clearly indicates that there is no potential for an increase in radiation exposure to the public. This is extremely important because ionizing radiation exposure is a known carcinogen, as well as the cause of other adverse health effects. It is with the guidance of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission and the Federal Code of Regulations that public exposure is non-existent with proper construction and maintenance of the plant. These calculations assessing radiation exposure were performed by PSEG and then also confirmed by an independent agency. Therefore, there is little public health concern for radiation exposure. Another point that stood out when reading the ESP is the potential increase in greenhouse gas emissions. Running a new nuclear plant will produce close to 16,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions annually. In a world where greenhouse gases are of considerable importance because of climate change, any increase in greenhouse gases can be detrimental to life. These numbers seem staggering at first, but they must be looked at in context. They would only account for 1/100th of the total greenhouse gases emitted by New Jersey annually. Furthermore, baseload power, the power required to run the nuclear power plant, emits 1,500 times less greenhouse gases than coal-fired plants. The impact to public health would be minimal because the nuclear plant would lead to less greenhouse gas emissions for the amount of power produced compared to other power plants. One of the greatest advantages of building a new nuclear power plant is the economic stimulus it will have on the area. The power plant would provide construction jobs for an anticipated 5 years. After that, there will be job openings at the plant itself in numerous fields. The construction for the plant will utilize local supplies and therefore benefit the local economy. After completion, the taxes paid by the company will benefit the local residents of the state. From a public health perspective, jobs will allow previously unemployed people access to a job, steady income, and health insurance. This would contribute to an overall increase in mental and physical health of the area because residents will have access to benefits they may not have been able to previously afford. Finally, the aesthetics of local historical sites, beach access sites, and nature estuaries would be affected by the sight of 2 new cooling towers, as illustrated in these pictures that were photoshopped by PSEG. This is not a physical health effect, but a mental health effect. People would be unable to view nature in its unaltered form. Nature offers a mental and physical relief from the industrialized world mankind has created. While the natural landscape will be altered, the visual disturbance is minimal. PSEG will not be able to mitigate the effect of the new view has, but they have the opportunity to aid the environment in other ways. This could include investing both time and money in local areas of importance like historical sites, beaches, and nature trails. They could invest money into the restoration of sites needing repairs or time into volunteering for road cleanups and other charitable work. They have already purchased, restored, and donated a local historical house to the local historical society. While this will not fix the aesthetics of the skyline, it will give back to the local community and show their support for the importance of nature and historical sites. After reviewing the abbreviated impact statement and early site permit environmental impact statement, it is in my professional opinion to conclude that the public health concerns of a new nuclear plant are minimal, and therefore will recommend the approval of the early site permit at the PSEG site for a new nuclear power plant. Thank you.